Just want to say hello and welcome, and yes, we are happy to hear Carmen Kleykens Vidal.
So, thank you for having me here. I want to read first this. In his libretto, George Bizet called Carmen one of the most mainstream operas and violent operas of the history and the most represented opera in the Occidental traditional classic world, Carmencita. It's a diminutive with an apparent sweet and kind tone, but that clearly was a way to hiding all the potential of a free woman who moves in the hostile world of men, and men with uniforms. Was the way that the language reflect a clear violence that the author wanted to proclaim towards there in his art practice. My name is Carmen Kleykens Vidal. I come from Spain, but I live actually in Hamburg since last year. I study multimedia composition that is like kind of a mix between XR technologies, that is a bit what I will explain today, and technologies for sound. So I'm kind of a specialist in 3D sound and sound design and post-production and mastering and all these things. But at the same time, I do what I will show today. I will read sometimes my mobile phone because I have here the notes, so I'm not checking Instagram. Yes. Mainly, one thing I wanted to say before starting, I wanted to thank XR Lab and my tutor, Constantina Orlando too. I don't know if she's watching. Because 1 week ago I got stolen my laptop. There's a crowdfunding going on if you want to check in my Instagram. And I could not make exactly what I wanted for today, but we try to make it as much as possible for you guys. So I will present the current research I'm doing with this lab there in Hamburg that is called The X That Got Away, Fluid Virtual Identities, Queer Feminist Awareness in Virtual Environments. And what means this? First, let's make for understanding what means this, let's make a recap of my last year. So, I want to learn XR processes for learning in a Flinta and expat 24 years old woman. What the fuck, this is difficult. I would like to study, so let's search a place for doing this. Hamburg seems the place because they have a lot of labs about this. There's an scene, super nice. Oof, I want this. So fight with the process and selection and what is success, because success is made for mainly white male there. So how can I get there? And I get there. Yeah, this is strange. And I'm alone in class. I'm the only Flinta in my class. I'm the only person that I'm doing high-tech technology in my environment. How can I fight for this? I will search reference so I can feel more comfortable. I can express and compare in a more comfortable, kind way about what I do. But do they exist because anyone is saying that they exist? Yeah, they exist. They exist, there's a lot of them. They are not so much inside academia, actually, but this technology is in development, is in the commercialization. We will talk a bit about this. And yeah, we know why it's this, and I think it's important, and I'm really thankful to be here, so we can together. Yes, yeah, now yes. We can fight together, so there's a way to have this reference so, and yeah, visible, no? That is the theme of today. So, this research started wanted to express with art this anger I had of the lack of references, and hey, now yes, again. So, What is XR technology? It's extended reality, so virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, that is what I'm going to show today. So we mixed reality of analogic ones, like our physic bodies, like my physic body here, with interaction with a virtual environment at the same time. This technology allows us to have possible bodies in possible worlds, in high immersive techniques in real time. So the important thing is not just, for example, there's a lot of research about video games, avatars. Our Maite will talk about this later, for example, but the specific technique I was using in this, and I will use in this research, is in real time. So it means that you can see in the performance this interaction lively and developing in different ways. But this causes problems, a lot of them. I will and a lot of questions about what this means. So what means to have physical body interacting in real time with identities, with these fluid identities that are in the virtual environments. One of all the questions that I had, that it was like why I started the research, is how technologies can make that all the violence that queer and flinta communities we suffer, this gap can be solved, because digital age is here. We have profiles in Instagram, in Facebook. We have, Google is doing lens of VR, and soon it will be buy for them. And there's all this super neutralizing technology and making objective, because it comes from science and you want to make it objective and more neutral, but it's not true. I mean, in a society where patriarchal the patriarchal canons are structurally in our base, having neutral technology is not possible, because these structures are there, are in the way the technology is created, are in the way that technology is spread. So that's one of the reasons why there's a gap for studying these high technology things, or it's so difficult to understand how they work, because these gaps exist. And yeah, we are here for fighting against them. One other important thing about this that I developed, and I will still, because this is a work in progress, it's about all the body in the physical world, all the body violence we have, as misgendering, gaslighting, wait, I have the list and it's important to say it. Body dissociation, standardization of gender roles, image pressure models, and how this can get us for creating, for making art with it, how are the processes in the composition, how we can relate with the aesthetics, for example, how this violence can be an input and a catharsis about in the art, no? In this work that I will show now in the trailer, I work with a mock-up system that is a technology I will explain a bit later, and 3D audio immersive with the 3D environment, of course. But one of the main concepts that I work was about reflections and about sizes, as you see, about the diminutive of Carmen Zita, that was also a catharsis about the work, and how mirrors can transform this violence and make it something beautiful and something to reflect on. So let's watch the trailer.
Que calla sereno cuando hablo, cuando hablo. Pablo, Pablo.
So yeah, that's the trailer. This will be premiered in Camp Nagel in September 16th with a smaller setup, of course, because yeah, in Camp Nagel there's not a 3D system of sound, but for stereo, and probably with a mock-up, thanks to the XLR. So yeah, what do you see here? There's this mixed reality with mirrors. Why mirrors? Virginia Woolf, it's known by a lot of her work with rooms, but in this case, I got one text that goes about mirrors, like about glass, that I want to say the phrase is here. That is the lady in the looking glass, a reflection. Women have served all these centuries as looking glasses, possessing the magic and the delicious powers of reflecting the figure of a man at twice at its natural size. So about the Carmencita and the sizes, we have in the virtual environments real-time mirrors that transforms the perspective of the performer. So it's like if I'm here in the middle of the room and I have several mirrors, but this is not happening in the room, it's happening just in the virtual environment. And how this transforms the body, the movements, as you see in the end, I'm dancing reggaeton. That is non-burguese kind of music, so I also express my anti-capitalism towards that. And it's on completely, how to say it, like precise way of making dancing and making movement and expression of sexuality inside these reflections about these sizes. So empowering this thing that had happened to women in a piece of art and making it the double of the sizes. And that's thanks to this suite. And we are going to talk about mock-up, and just a bit, because it's really fucked up. I'm really fat for this, like not a bit fat, I'm super fat for this kind of technology. Like I needed to lose about 5 kilos for getting in the suite, and my school has all the sizes. I'm XL. Imagine this, like this is like making a gap. It's a huge gap. And yeah, here, as you see in this photo, I'm making the tracking, and this is how the skeleton more or less works. This will be talked later also. But one thing is really fucked up about this technology is that the main representation and the neutral size of this representation is a male athlete of like running marathons. And I get that these bodies exist and they have all the right to go and make this technology, but why my body doesn't? I think I can do it. I mean, why not? And all of us. So I was like really angry about this. So we tried to make it work with my team. and also with this lab that is amazing. So we make it like, okay, I lose a bit of weight for doing it, but not only that, like we kind of make that the suite it has different parts. So we make, in a way, the trackers in a smaller part, even if the suite is a bit bigger than it should be. So this provokes several problems in the way that the avatars are created. So that's why before the performance, 2 minutes before, I needed to do something that in a normal animation studio they will do days before and it will stay stable. But I needed to track myself each time for doing this, and this is violence because it's as double as work as it should be for a man that is an athlete or a person that is less fat than me. So this is one of the problems high technology has that are not related with our bodies. And I ask myself a lot of questions of why we should proceed to continue with these technologies, what means like the democratization of these technologies, and how it's important that our future and our society is conscious that this provokes violence towards us. And yeah, it's really, really sad that this is happening like this. Also, other important fact about it is that working with immersivity also means that the audience that you have is different than you, and sees the thing different than you, or listen to things different than you, more talking about disabled people, for example, and how this technology is completely out of their frame. As you see, for example, in this photo here, in the piece, there's a mirror, there's the avatar here, like the regular avatar I create with different skins for the different possible lives and bodies. That's also part of the piece, and the mirror. And one thing I got really impressed about it, it's how some tracking systems and some relation with these virtual environments are not created for having movements and kind of bodies, for example, boobs. And are completely more difficult to get into this data. So it's a matter of how easy is this data to get transformed and to get into the visual world. And I just think that sometimes this is what kind of this art has with, for example, disabled people, that you are not transmitting data for them. You are just thinking about how you would like it and not how people can watch it, and I don't think it's fair. And it's something I ask myself, I would like that we ask ourselves here also, that if we can make this technology, immersive technology, more democratic in that sense. Yeah, and I think I'm just to finish, because I could not show like the 3D world for you guys, but yeah, I wanted also to talk about the terminology I will continue in my doctor's studies developing, that is this phrase about fluid bodies, identities, and fluid virtual identities, because how we relate with the visual world are with patterns, of conductive patterns, of how we move, of how we talk, how we relate empathetically to images and to our profiles, for example, in Instagram and everything. And sometimes we think are in the same size as us. And I realize it's not true, because it's what we were talking before about the structurally violence, no? And I wanted to make this terminology so we can talk in digital era and in this virtual era that we are going to live, and we are living already, in a more less violent way. So creating spectrums inside of the sizes of how we are. Not needed to talk about identity, not needed to talk about exactly define ourselves, something also we talked about yesterday a lot, but more what we do, and yeah, what is important for us, no? And this has the ability to transform and allow individuals to not feel this violence in virtual spaces and to shape our personal attributes, our social interactions, and that this technology is more affordable and yeah, more easy to share and to defend and to yeah, identify with. Yeah, I think, yes. About the piece, because yeah, last thing. I did like a link of references about all this topic because for me it was really difficult. It's a Google Doc, so you can share. Also, there's my social media and everything. One thing about the references or the text about high tech that it's difficult to relate with is that most of them are not for art, are for anatomy, for example, or for yeah, there's some for art, and of course, and they are there, and I hope, of course, not all are there at all, and I would like that if you have some, you can share it and put it there so I know also, and you help in my research. But I think it's important to say that interdisciplinarity is there. We are fluid, we are in different spectrums, and also academical text symposiums as this one are really nice to, that also get this, that we are interdisciplinary, that we are in a spectrum, that we are not just black and white, even if we like to dress black and white sometimes. But yeah, and I think it's important always to share the references. There's a lot about digital era and a lot about also motion tracking. So if you are interested, you can contact me. And that's it, more or less. Thank you.
Any questions from the audience?
Is it working? Yes. I'm not sure. How did you decide on the form of the robot you said? Because I noticed it looked more like hips or a little more breasts. So I thought, what was your process in deciding on it?
That's one of the most parts that are work in progress, because for the real data transferring, is what I was trying to explain before, but I think I didn't explain it super well. That the violence is there because it's really difficult to transform this data in real time for bodies that are not in normal shape of the neutral shape, that is a man, athletic guy. So what I try in this work in progress that was in February, as much as I could, I tried to build the neutral and more similar to my, it didn't work because it was like literally probably 15 kilos less than me. Because yeah, that's the thing, that the motion capture doesn't allow you so much to horizontal, like we have like X, Y, and Z, no? So in the X, it's really, so I tried to, as much as I could, build this robot that is kind of like me, let's say, or me in a possible life. But that was the thought, no? So try to avoid this neutrality that is violent, mainly that. But it's also kind of why I say it's a work in progress, because I'm now working with developers of 3D and with 3D artists that are more experts on this. So also that I'm learning about that, because learning is a process. So I can make it more X and even more, and transform also all the other parts. So that is not always stable. That now for example, in this piece, the skins were changing. That is something that is related with the reflections, that how we see ourselves. One day you see with your skin really as you like, another day you don't see it like you like. For example, is one of the most external parts of our physical body, and I wanted to make this transformation in the virtual one, but I would also like that in the form is transformed. So that's the next step. You can watch it in Camp Nagel, 16th of September, people. Yeah, more or less, yes. Thank you.
Thank you for this presentation. Also for everyone, we are both from Spain and we met here, 2,000 kilometers away from Spain. So it's a great forum and yeah, coincidence. I love your work and now I have something else to incorporate to my research as you will see later. But what I wanted to ask you, and I think that for me is important and connected to her question, is the idea that you talk about violence, of course, that you don't fit in the suit when you have a pretty like, you know, able body and you know, you should fit in an XL like loosely. And how did that make you feel? Because at the end you're confronting, you're talking about the body and, you know, enjoying the body and turning reflection into something enjoyable. But at the end you're confronted with technology that kind of spells you out of that. So how did you, like as, you know, your feelings and your emotions, how did you manage as you were working to deal with that?
It was difficult. I mean, I think confronting reality was when you are in your bubble, and sometimes us as queer and Flinta, we are sometimes in really beautiful bubbles. When you realize that the technology you love is fighting against you, it's really hard. But at the same time, I need to say that this needs to take steps to change. And I think that was the main strength I had in the moment to say, okay, no, okay, this happened, so I will transform it. I will try to learn and adapt the technology because, of course, it's in development. So I think that's the important point about this, that if it would not be in development, the things will not be able to change. But why, if we are in a process of making this technology more able to everyone, why is not that true? Like what is only like imaginary thought, it's happening. And I think on that, I mean, it's true, this kind of technology is made by big industries, for example, military service, and a lot of, yeah, also, for example, for virtual reality, like the use for commercial uses is not as much as, for example, our mobile phones, no? So I think in a moment, not really far away, this will be more to get and more easy to expand also. And I would like that this expansion is ready. It's ready for us. So that's why I wanted to share it in this work.
Questions? Any more questions? Perhaps I have a little one, perhaps, because now you were like talking about the violence of the technology itself, so that there are these huge gaps and they don't fit to any body type. Now in producing like your work, I would be also like interested, because I'm not familiar with the technology and what it can do, but also like the shift when you have like you have your body and it transforms into another virtual body, into a kind of metaverse. We had like an exhibition here in space, the last one. There was also like we had a work of one of our students where you could enter the metaverse and you were not physical at all. You just had like your view. But here, when I got you right, that you have your body and it's transforming into another avatar. Perhaps you can give us more thoughts also about this and how this will change also our body image for ourselves and also how we are perceived in a virtual reality.
I think it's a super nice question, because there's a lot of forms of art that talks about dissociation, about being in a world that is not the world you live in the reality, so fiction, fantasy, magic. And that's something I really like about art in general, that you can, you can be a witch like as yesterday and a monster, and it's cool and it's true and it's real. And that's the thing, it's real. But this technology allows that is like in all your perception is high way, and in this type, for example, you are still seeing it in a screen, but as you were saying about the other work, you are not seeing it in one screen external, it's your eyes. It's a way that, and will arrive a moment, because this is like in the labs, they are making even that you can touch it, that you can smell it. It's in all the perceptions, it's high perceptional thing. And this, I think, is the door to make that, what you were saying about dissociation and about words that are more empathetic and kindness, as Valentina was saying yesterday, even more real, like even more expressible and more strong in a way, because you will not just feel it as your mind, as a concept, or you will not just feel it as something you empathically view and relate with, but also you will experience it. And I think that can be even therapeutic. I mean, sometimes, it's real that queer and Flinta communities, dissociation is one of the most big problems in body issues. And this could make a therapy even, like, I'm not expert on this, of course, so I will not talk about that, but as a way of relating better to your body. And for example, about this transformation thing, something that in the trailer you cannot see is in the beginning, I was showing a world that is empty, it's only mirrors that they are transforming with lights and colors. But in the end, it's a figure of something that is the more healthy body that I have. Like, that was my main goal in the end. So when I'm sad, I dance reggaeton with my friends. When I'm sad and I don't like my body, I try to go to a mirror and say to myself, hey, you don't look so bad today. Like, it's not so important how you look, or all these marks that you have, and how we can do that visually, how we can express these feelings, like with mirrors and in a virtual weird and it's super freak way. I find this way, there's hundreds of ways, and I think when we will be more able to have this technology handily, and they will not cost so much money because it's expensive as fuck. That's why you always collaborate with a lab. Hey, but yeah, so that's like, it will be more easy, and yeah, I'm really hopeful about that, and helpful also.
I had a question, now that you also said again that you're always collaborating with a lab. Mm-hmm. Are the labs open for your visions?
Okay, we are online. It's difficult. It's difficult. I have good luck. I had really good luck. It's not. There's an amazing research about how many virtual environments have been created from Flinta people, and it's really few. Like, it's impressive of the quantity of how virtual realities are not made by. It's made for sometimes, but not made by. So these labs are, sometimes really not able to think in a feminist way. So it's difficult. Also, there's other lawyer for me, in this case personally, that I'm a bit young for this, so they speak to you as if I would not be able to touch a cable. And that's difficult because the technical work and the artistic work needs trust. And it's that you know that you are not going to break the cable you are using. I will not break the cameras I'm using. That cost a lot of money. And I get that when you have something to give to someone that is really expensive, that you don't know that person, is really difficult to trust. But this layer of violence towards queer and Flinta plus young artists on trust is worst. And there will be people that will say, no, I'm feminist, and I collab with this girl that is doing his weird thing, but I will not let her to touch the camera. And that had happened to me, and it's really, really sad, if I'm honest. So I'm thankful that lately this had not happened so much, and that in my future, I hope happen less and less, and that people get used to that we can take cables and put cameras and make it amazing. So, you know, that's the feeling that I want to transmit, more than the bad ones. But yeah, there's bad ones. The trust is difficult to get when you have this kind of image. They treat you really as if you will be really stupid. And the Carmencita thing is about this. I mean, if you make a diminutive of someone you don't know at all, and that you don't relate with that life, you are making it smaller. Why? I mean, I don't do that to people. Why they need to do it with me? Only because I'm this kind of person. That's it. So yeah. But thank you for the question.
I also have a question. Okay, so you have like a really positive mindset, I think, on the future of it.
Trying.
Yeah, you're trying. It's really cool. I really like it. And I mean, I think this is like a niche that's gonna develop, but it seems like, and I think that's really interesting. But you said before that like the future of virtual reality and like mixed reality is that it's gonna get commercialized. And I don't know if you know anything about it, but do you have any like thoughts on how that's gonna influence like Flinta people having a way of expressing themselves or like playing with their identity?
I think art has a big power on this. Like, I want to hope that art has a big power of this, that artists, we try as much as make conscious that this is going to be positive and not negative. But I'm also aware that that's not the full reality, as we were saying with Valentina yesterday also, and because I come from a little town in Spain that I cannot say I'm gay, or like literally, and this is like this. I needed to, like, and I live in a beautiful place, and it's not less beautiful for that, in a way. I mean, it is less beautiful because it's less open, no, to everyone. And I think this ugliness in that sense, that's for me what's ugly, no, that you reject someone from how it is. I think that's going to happen also because these places will be created also in virtual ways. I mean, they are already creating, because also the way of commercializing it are of this business that are not, that even if they want to show campaigns about how much open they are, and Google is amazing. You love Google, you know, because you work there and everyone loves where they work in Google. And I'm not saying no, but they are not making conscious about the problems that this technology can bring also. So yes, positive, also bringing that this can get related, no? Like that these people can also get that power. I think it's also, technology has a lot of power of how we relate with each other socially, for example. It's not a coincidence that mainstream porn, for example, is one of the most things done in virtual realities, or the more commercialized, like you go to Pornhub and you have hundreds of super violent porn there. So, for example, this is one of the things that, okay, but we need people that is watching this and saying, hey, this is not the only thing. And it's not the only spaces that will be created. We can create these ones that I can be whatever. And that's why I think it's important. Like it's positive, but also it's true that we need to point out these other spaces that are ugly in a way. And I think with conscious and critic to technology, or like not saying that it's objective is the most important thing, because it's not. So, yeah.
Any more questions, comments? We would have time for one or two, or we have time for a break. So we go into another break. Carmen, thank you so much for your insights and your enthusiasm and your challenges you're facing and the battle. And yeah, I think we will battle with you.
You.